Are we getting more savvy? Are we becoming less extravagant? Have we ever been extravagant? Are there just too many players in the field? I don't know the answer to those questions, but I know someone who may be able to shed some light on what is actually going on than my speculation. And I'm very pleased to welcome retail expert Kate Hardcastle to the show this evening. Kate, hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi. Look, Kate, I must confess to being a little confused by this article, which I saw in the Times, because it seems to be suggesting that online retailers are basically seeing a big decline in web sales. More and more of them are in distress. Now, you know, that could be for a number of reasons, but at the same time, apparently our high streets are still suffering. It may be too early to tell what's going on at Christmas, but can you shed any light on what the underlying picture is here?
If the retail picture was a simple case of black and white, then perhaps the analogy between online and in-store and why one was failing, one was successful might make sense. But the decline that I've seen in retail over the years wasn't just to do with the ease of transaction and the accessibility of online. There was so much more underneath that when you start digging into it. And I think we've got to be very clear that we need a lot of work doing in our high streets, which we'll come on to, a lot of support for them to recreate communities, which are vital to all of the challenges we face in communities, isolation crisis, pulling people back together, more unity. And retail can't be just the glue that holds that together. But the reason that we started shopping online wasn't purely because it was easier and quicker than what we had in our high street. It was because what we had in our high street was starting to dissatisfy us. We weren't getting the service, the quality, the point of difference that we wanted. We started spending our money alternatively. We started shopping up experiences. We've seen huge increases in experiences. For instance, we've seen the rise and rise of cocktail bars, eating out, gaming, theatres, cinemas. And
but Kate, can I just ask on... Can I just ask you on that point, because I don't want to interrupt your flow entirely, but you're right in what you're seeing in the sort of more experienced thing of the. But do they not tend to fuel the nighttime economy more than the daytime and benefit the shops on the high street?
To an extent. So when you look at the high street, we had very much a 9 to 5:30 model. Doors would open and retailers would expect people to go through those doors because traditionally that was the way that we could consume goods. When online gave us the Pandora's box, it opened up, it gave us the opportunity to shop 24/7, to price check, to shop around, to identify brands that we wanted, or products that we wanted, and easily get them delivered to our home. Then the competition needed to see so much more from our traditional retail space. If you think about a pendulum swing, when you've got online shopping that offers ease of transaction, then our traditional bricks and mortar stores probably needed to realise they were going to have to take shorter, smaller spaces, and they would have to really improve the human-to-human contact. So customer service would have to improve, stock availability would have to improve. Unfortunately, a lot of those mainstream retailers had really oversaturated their presence. They were in towns and cities in multiple continents.
You're talking about the chains here particularly, aren't you?
Particularly the mass market chains, yes. And whilst all chains aren't bad and broken, for instance, one of our fastest growing retailers is Primark, it tends to be split very much into the discount value side of life and then the premium luxurious side of life. And in the middle market, that's where we've seen the most erosion. So if you think about the brands that have gone over the last 10 years, everyone from Blockbuster, the video store that failed to adapt and become the next Netflix, Tie Rack, BHS, you know, these stores that were very middle market, probably just didn't have enough about them, very vanilla, nothing wrong with them, but nothing that right with them anyway. We've seen these very large stores start to disappear. And it's very challenging times. But that isn't, for me, we can't just look at that and say, okay, simply put, retail's challenged, therefore our high street is dying and therefore all the fault and blame is online. That's just not what happened. So much more in terms of consumer buying power is prevalent in this.
So what do you think is behind the reported increase in distressed firms online then? Are people getting less satisfied with the idea of click and order, that they might be looking for more experience? Because it's not clear whether this people are transferring their loyalties back to high streets and out-of-town stores or just disappearing for economic reasons.
Again, it's a picture of many different things. So we've got oversaturation of online brands now. It's a hugely competitive marketplace. Also, I think people truly believe that the grass is greener online and that they're just very profitable businesses because they don't have the traditional costs of rent and rates and electricity to run the store.
Which are huge disincentives for the high street, aren't they still?
Of course they are, and we do need to look at that. But online has a very different selling policy. It is governed by a different legality when it comes to selling, which means they have to accept returns. And that can absolutely keel over an online business. Returns can be as high as 40%. And those returns are not always resellable.
And
These are not businesses that have been, in equity from word go. A lot of them are actually, VC backed and a lot of debt and borrowing to try and get them to anywhere near a profitable
and they want a big return. So I've heard amongst, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but my stepdaughter is a good example of this, is that she will order 3 or 4 things in the full knowledge she's probably going to return 3 of them. But it's a way of literally trying them on through online and sending them back. And if people are doing that en masse, that must come as a huge cost to the online businesses.
It really does. But all you're describing to me is a consumer that is using every tool available to her to get what she wants. When we create these opportunities for consumers, so for instance, one of the big challenges on online has been free delivery. Free delivery has been offered as a huge incentive, and guess what? Delivery isn't free. It costs money. And now these businesses, having offered free delivery, are trying to work out how they can stop offering free delivery because it's really hurting their profit margin. Your stepdaughter is just looking at the playing field and saying, okay, I want this availability, I want these products, I want to be able to try them in the comfort of my own home. She's using everything the retailers are offering to them. We need smarter, faster working and more consumer-focused retailers in our online and offline channels to build businesses that are going to last and not simply to discount. It's driven me crazy over the past few weeks to watch retail create this challenge for itself through so much bad practice. I'll mention 2 things very quickly here. Number one, we've had retailers that have been pretty much empty in their traditional stores pretty much all the year round, and they've been heavily using discount. They have now got footfall in those stores. I've been out and I've shopped 3 cities today and I've seen actual people in stores. It's great to see. But the queues at the tills are long, service is very poor, and no one's actually using any marketing materials to work out how they get all of these new customers back into the store in January, February. That's prime time opportunity.
You make a very good point there, Kate. I'm also thinking there's probably a lot of people thinking, my goodness, does this lady get paid to go shopping? It sounds fantastic to some. But look, can we talk briefly about Christmas? It may be too early to form an opinion. I've seen queues, so people are out there shopping. I've cursed along with lots of people standing in those lines with you, and sometimes think I should have done this online. Any signs of what Christmas is being like in terms of retail volume?
I think, unfortunately, we're going to be talking about some very challenged brands again in the new year. I think what we're seeing right now is a traditional rush where people have been waited on for those discounts. They're now 40, 50, up to 70%.
Before Christmas, isn't it? It's extraordinary.
Before Christmas Eve, which used to be the golden quarter, it used to be the most profitable time. That has completely changed now. And I think whilst, again, brands like Primark, probably entertainment brands like Disney, and brands like the luxury brands, the Fortnum & Masons and Selfridges will do very nicely, thank you very much. Unfortunately, that middle market has been incredibly challenged by this competitive nature and this need for discount. And savvy consumers who are actually starting to move away from just buying material goods. They want different things in life, and it's hard to blame them. If you choose between travelling a new outfit and you can buy an EasyJet or a Ryanair plane ticket very economically, why would you not want to do that as well as just having more stuff?
So would I read into that the outlook from January is that we might expect store closures?
Unfortunately, yeah. We can't have 20, 30, 40% growth online, not have any more money, and then not expect that same disappearance of store frontage in our traditional high streets. Our high streets need saving by becoming not reliant on retail, though. We need community hubs again, and we need to bring more services back into high streets and more living.
I'm certainly with you on that, but that is a complete... Maybe we'll cover that another time. Now, Kate, I can't let you go of all our guests who spend so much time in shops. We've heard that Boris Johnson is kind of saying all he wants for Christmas is a bike. Now, I'm putting this down to the fact that he's the man who's got everything. He's master of everything he surveys. He's prime minister. He's got a new puppy. I mean, goodness knows. So we are getting some wonderful suggestions on what he should have for Christmas. So what would your Christmas present be to Boris Johnson?
Oh, I think I would gift our Prime Minister a map of the UK, just to remind him how vast and wide and wonderful it is, and how much it really does exist outside of a Westminster bubble.
I think, do you know, I think he'd like that, because he's probably going to respond by saying, I need that map to look at all these new Conservative seats I've won up in parts of England. But you make a very, very good point. I think that's a great present. I think that's edging towards our best one so far. Well, the best one that I can speak out loud on without being censored. Kate Hardcastle, retail expert, thank you so much for joining us.